All right, thanks for jumping on the call with us this morning. It's Wednesday, and I'm Rob Hamilton.
I hate Wednesdays.
I've taken over Mike's office.
Get out.
Like every Wednesday morning. So you've had this great series going on all this week about how great agents thrive in all markets, and they adapt and they change. So tell me, in your career, how have you adapted and changed to the circumstances?
No, Rob. No, we're just going to sit around and tell other people what they should do.
No, well, we want to know what you did.
Okay.
Give us some examples.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's turn the tables a little bit. Make me walk the talk a little bit. Okay, so I got into the business in the late 80s, and I started as a new agent. I started off doing a lot of door knocking, and I did geographic farming. I was trying to generate listings. It wasn't a bad time for that, and I did. And then the damnedest thing happened, like, I'm trying to remember exactly when, but early 90s, like late 90, 91, is we went into a hard recession. Interest rates started jumping up, real estate market slowed down, couldn't get listings sold. I remember at one time having over 30 listings. Now, keep in mind, I'm still in my 20s, right? I'm still pretty new. And like, all I'm doing is trying to keep the listings from expiring and people from canceling on me, and I'm just constantly trying to figure out what to say to these people about why their house hasn't sold, because they don't want to hear me say big macro things like the market sucks. So it was time to change. So adapt or die. Yep. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I shifted into buyer representation because it was the way to get transactions done. In 91, 92, you wanted to have home buyers. And so I shifted into that. At the risk of telling like old man stories, do you remember those little color real estate book magazines that were like in all the sandwich shops?
Oh, yeah.
I think they were actually called that, the real estate magazine, real estate book. Well, I started off, I'd buy ads in there. That's how I started. And then it worked because I could chat people up on the phone. I could capture and convert them into a customer, okay, in sales speak. I just was good at that. So I started buying more ads, and then I go, well, why don't I just buy a whole page? And I was like, well, why don't I buy 2 pages? Because the return on this is pretty good. In today's money, it was really pretty cheap compared to what people are doing today. I advanced this to where I kind of created the concept with them back then of priority placement. So I'd go to them, I'd say, I went to this class and they said right-handed people flip back to front. And that made sense to me because I'm right-handed and I flip back to front. So I want to buy the back inside page. And they're like, you don't want the front cover? I'm like, nope, I don't want the back cover. I want the back inside page. And then the next thing, I bought the fold where it's stapled. Okay, great. And I made a lot of money doing that. And then the market changed. And I go back to listings. So what do I do now? Well, I go back to door knocking. And I made, I won't tell the story again now because everybody's heard it and we don't have time. But like, I made $2.1 million knocking on one door. But then times changed again. And so I did some corporate relocation for a while. Why? Because IBM got big in Atlanta with their presence. UPS moved their worldwide headquarters from Connecticut down to Atlanta. State Farm moved their headquarters. There's a lot of relo stuff going on, so I adapted. Hey, relo sucks. Okay, so make note. But the relo companies just get involved and they boss you around all the time. They take all the money.
Right.
Okay, great. So while I was doing that, I did a lot of agent-to-agent referral business too. Okay, great. I'll fast forward a little bit. Hey, the late 90s, like 1998, 99, I bumped into a foreclosure by accident. And I remember driving home one day going, nobody does this. And this was the beginning of subprime lending. You remember that? I'm like, man, we're making all kinds of like ridiculous mortgages. This has got to tick up the foreclosure rate a little bit. See the high level thinking I'm going. So we give money, we make people loans that don't have good credit and they don't have any down payment. what's going to happen.
Right.
And by the way, nobody's doing this. And I can remember all the agents in my office making fun of me. Like they would say, why are you doing that? Like you have to sell 5 for every 1 I sell. And like ridiculing me.
Yeah.
Well, 2008, they weren't ridiculing me. Were they? No, they weren't. All of a sudden, I looked like the smartest guy in town. Was I? No, I had just kept adapting to whatever the market required at that time. Where's the opportunity? One of my coaches used to say to me, Mike, just watch what everybody else is doing and just go the exact opposite way. If for no other reason, even if you're wrong, just do the exact opposite to differentiate yourself. Mm-hmm. So 98, 99, nobody, and I mean nobody, wanted to work on foreclosures. And they actually made fun of me. And then I took that, I said, well, if nobody else wants to do it, then I'll do it. And today, the bewildering thing today is I listen to agents and they're all pissed off about market conditions right now. And they think that listing agents are being unfair and rude and unprofessional, and buyer agents are just whining and complaining about all the multiple offers and the cash offers. And I go, folks, you're completely missing the point. And you're going to regret it one day. You're going to look back on 2021 and go, hey, Rob, remember when like home buyers would, like if a house came up for sale, they would actually leave work immediately and go to the house. And if they liked the house, they would immediately make an offer tens of thousands above list price. We couldn't talk them out of it. Hey, Rob, you and Beth, y'all slow down a little bit. I don't know if you should be overpaying for that. Mike, be quiet. We want this house. What's it going to take to get? Remember those days? And interest rates were at 3%, so you could actually afford to have that mindset. And if I had a home buyer, it was just a matter of, can I win the offer, but not driving them around and then being indecisive. And if I took a listing, remember back then, we never had to talk about extending the listing or price adjustments, bringing the price down. We never had to work on any of those things. Remember those days? You know what we're going to call that? We're going to call that the good old days. And we're going to wish fondly that the world would go back to the good old days. And Billy Joel says the good old days weren't always so good. Yeah, when you're living through that stuff, it feels highly stressful. But folks, welcome it. Because your customers, the death of the real estate agent in this world, oh, give me a break. Your customers, your buyers and sellers have never needed a good agent more than they do today. You're more valued. Now, what's a good agent? Well, if you think that driving around Atlanta unlocking doors for people makes you a good agent, then you're about to become extinct. A good agent is one that brings solutions to the table. So before I stop this morning, I want to give myself a little commercial here. Okay. So solutions, like, okay, Mike, so specifically, what the hell are you talking about? Well, this is a 10-minute call. We don't have time to go into that. But if you get your little fanny in your car and drive over here to my office this morning, I'll hold you a seat. And we're going to talk about 4 specific solutions that if you're my customer, I'd sit at your kitchen table and go, yeah, it's crazy out there. But here's 4 things I'm going to bring to the table to help you succeed and me get paid that I can do. And my bet is you're going to say, oh, I didn't know we could do that. I'm going to say, I know, that's why I'm here. Because I'm a good agent, and good agents bring solutions to challenges for their customers. And you know what average, weak, and mediocre agents do? They just sit around and bitch about it all the time. Yep. So come join me at 10:30 today, and that's one way that you could go out there and make it happen for yourself today.